up, it's 2023.
Oh boy. Another year has passed, and what a year it was. In 2022, I committed mass genocide. I also smashed an apple with a wrench. I think that is pretty much all I did, but who cares? It's a brand new year, and what better way to start it than by celebrating our favourite tradition, January. I know you still hate the name, but it's too late to change it now.
For those of you who weren't with me in 2021, I started the annual tradition of January, where in the month of January I make a video all about this white magical box. Yes, I may have broken this tradition the year after it started, but now we are back and better than ever. In 2021 we had a look at the Wii's spin-off game Superchargers Racing. While unfortunately not the full-fledged experience some fans were expecting to play, Superchargers Racing has much faster and more satisfying racing than the actual Superchargers. I genuinely think it's a great game and I had a lot of fun with it. I even 108% completed it. Yeah, for some reason the maximum is 108%, I have no idea why. If you have a Wii, I heavily recommend this game, especially since it is ridiculously cheap. It also released on the 3DS, but what do you think this is? 3DS March?
Today we're diving even deeper into Skylanders on the Wii. Sure, I've played the game that's exclusive to the Wii, but I've never touched the Wii versions of the Skylanders games I've already played. Well, that ends today. For better or worse, because I've heard some nasty things. Hang on. What's the date today? Oh. Welcome to February, everyone.
Well, I suppose we should begin where it began, and I'm not gonna hold back on saying it. Spyro's Adventure was a bit of a mess. Technically, I'm not talking about the game itself, I mean everything revolving around it. Toys for Bob originally planned on Skylanders being a Nintendo exclusive franchise, with Spyro's Adventure only releasing on the Wii and 3DS. But Nintendo declined the offer. Bet they feel kinda silly now. This meant that Toys for Bob needed new versions of a game that they planned to be exclusively on the Wii. It certainly sounds like a recipe for disaster, and that potential disaster was dropped onto XSpec Entertainment. XSpec is a Taiwanese developer and publisher, which have been involved with some pretty big projects, like Final Fantasy 15 and Shrek Forever After. These guys were tasked with porting the Wii game to Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.
Seems simple enough. How much time did they have to do it though? Like, half a year maybe?
2 months. I am not even kidding. XSpec only had 2 months to get these games complete. You would rightfully assume that these versions turned out to be absolutely horrific, but they actually did pretty well for the ridiculous time constraints they were under. While there are way more bugs and glitches in the Wii version, they worked with what they got and we have 2 playable games because of it. Because XSpec made both versions, they are practically identical, which is why they're both referred to as the HD versions.
I grew up playing the 360 versions of Skylanders, and I loved Spyro's Adventure as a kid, so I have to applaud XSpec. If they failed to successfully port the game, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now. I'd be over there.
Now, I've not been scared to admit that nowadays I'm not the biggest fan of Spyro's Adventure. I think it was great at the time, but the gameplay feels a bit dated now and too simplistic for my taste.
But who knows, maybe I've just been playing the wrong version of the game the whole time. Maybe Spyro's Adventure on the Wii will become my new favourite Skylanders game.
Let's just cut to the chase. The Wii was never as graphically advanced as its competition. So it's pretty obvious that the Wii version of Spyro's Adventure doesn't look as crisp as the Xbox and PlayStation ones. No surprises there.
What may surprise you is that despite all of that, I think this version still looks the best.
Hear me out for a second. First of all, I think the Wii's graphics mesh better with the game's art style. There's something so charming about the visuals that I just can't explain. Secondly, I always felt like the high definition graphics kinda just make the game's textures look worse. I'm sure if the HD versions were planned from the beginning, then they wouldn't look as out of place, but the Wii takes the win for the best visuals.
I did not think I would ever say that. But that's just the visuals, which were far from my biggest issue with the Xbox version. What I need to see are some changes to the actual game. Okay, so it's the same game.
You have to be very experienced to notice the differences in the versions, and I'm sure there are a ton of small changes that I didn't notice. But that's just what they are. Small changes. There are, however, a few changes that do make an impact on the game, starting with the controls. Now I'll admit it was a bit strange to play with the Wii Remote and Nunchuck at first, but it ended up being just as comfortable to use as a controller. In fact, it's technically the superior way to play, since some attacks like Chop Chop Shield Bash are designed around this button layout. Just another slap in the face for the HD players. One of the biggest additions is the motion controls. Normally nothing good comes after those two words, but in this case it's completely fine. You only ever use the motion controls when you're opening chests and hat boxes, throwing bombs, and interacting with certain things in levels. The pointer mechanic is used during turret sections, and it works pretty fine. This is motion controls done right. It's never shoved in your face during gameplay segments, it's a nice way to break up the pacing, and of course, most importantly, it's like I'm really there. Speaking of turret sections, check out this creature that flies in front of you. Yeah, this does not happen in the other versions. Was it too difficult, X-Spec? Are you afraid of... What are these things called anyway? Well, I can't find anything, so I'll call them Gareth. By far my favourite change is that every single cutscene and line of dialogue in this game is completely skippable even on your first playthrough. This is such a massive improvement I can't even put it into words. Anyone who played the HD versions will share my pain of being forced to listen to Chaos every single time he opens his mouth. Even if you've already played the level, there is no way to get rid of him, it's awful. Another big quality of life improvement is the bomb rolling, which feels so much better to control in this version. Because let me tell you, the quality of my life was pretty poor having to deal with this. For some reason the HD version's bomb rolling is completely botched. It's unresponsive, it's got no weight to it, the hitboxes suck, I could go on. It might not seem like a big deal because it's only in 2 levels, but trust me, you don't know what I've been through. We've already been through some pretty big differences, but easily the most drastic change from this version to the HD versions is the layer of chaos. This level has one key difference and it changes everything for the better. You see, in both versions there's an area where you have to take split paths to find keys. Only difference is, on the Wii version you simply move down each of the paths until you reach the keys, whilst on the HD versions each path leads to a moving platform which then takes you to each key. It takes 55 seconds for the platform to move to the key and 55 seconds to move back. And since you have to do this twice, that is 3 minutes and 20 seconds of doing absolutely nothing but waiting. I have no idea what X-Spec was thinking adding these in. The only reason I can possibly come up with is to make the level longer, and yes, the Wii version of this level is incredibly short in comparison, but it's a tolerable short, like shortcake. This is a bad long, like a long gun. And lastly, a really subtle thing I noticed is that in the first level, Blobbers says Tech Champion instead of Tech Skylander.
Hey, do you want to play Champlanders? I know I don't.
Well, I guess that's it for Spyro's Adventure on the Wii. It's basically the same game with a much better final level and better quality of life, like being able to shut up the bald man. But other than that, everything else could easily go unnoticed. However, I can safely say that this is the best version of the game, and it's going to be my go-to whenever I feel like playing. But I still don't love this game, unfortunately, so scrap the last part, I'm never playing this again.
What does this mean? Oh.
Square Enix. Yes, the Square Enix responsible for one of the most popular video game franchises in the world made a Wii U version of Spyro's Adventure exclusive to Japan. Clearly the Japanese hate Trigger Happy because the game sold so poorly that they never made another Japanese Skylanders game again. As you would expect, this version is pretty hard to find nowadays, so I can't personally say that it's the best version, but look at that frame rate, it's the best version.
Okay, now we're done.
Now we move on to Giants, and the massive difference going into this game is that Toys for Bob didn't create it as an exclusive for the Wii, which means no need for Xbox to break their backs porting a game onto two different consoles, thank God. This means that each version of Giants is exactly the same. Seriously, I couldn't even find the tiniest difference between these versions. There's obvious stuff like the graphics and the motion controls, but beside that they are identical games, so it really doesn't matter which one you pick. Speaking of motion controls, all of the new Giants related actions like picking up boulders use the Wii remote. And just like before, I don't mind their inclusion in the slightest. It is a little bit disappointing that every different feat of strength uses the exact same motion to be completed, but I guess it's still more dynamic than just mashing a button. But of course, you all want to know, which version is better? Well, this time I am pretty confident in saying that HD is the way to go. Unlike Spyro's Adventure, Giants looks pretty nice on the HD version. Along with that, there were pretty noticeable frame drops during cutscenes and even battles. Not a deal breaker or anything, but the HD version runs so damn smooth. There is still that charm of the Wii's graphics, sure, but I think we have a clear winner here. The one on the Wii U. You thought I forgot about this bad boy, but here it is. It's beautiful, and it's not a Japanese exclusive this time.
So everyone wins with Skylanders Giants. Even though the Wii version has a couple of issues, they're really not that important. Well, I guess that's a happy ending, but it doesn't make for good content. This does. Oh boy, I just got Swap Force on the Wii, and I can't wait to play as my favourite Skylander, Spyro.
All fired up.
This game runs and looks like expired meat. I knew it wasn't going to be amazing, but I was not ready for this, or this, or this. You know what? Now I think I understand why some people don't like this game. They are playing the wrong version. What makes it worse is that not only am I comparing this version to the superior Xbox 360 and PS3 versions, but also the even more superior Wii U, PS4 and Xbox One versions. And yikes. Something that I haven't had an issue with until now is the controls. As I said before, the Wii Remote and Nunchuck feel great to use, but in this game, because of the new jumping feature, the buttons have been switched around. The B button is the primary attack, which is fine, but the tiny little C button is the secondary attack, and the Z button is the third attack. It might just be me, but this feels wrong. I kept on getting the secondary and third attacks mixed up even after playing for hours and hours. It just doesn't feel right for one of the attacks that your Skylander starts with to be on the smaller button. Now yes, I understand that in the original games the third attack was mapped to the Z button, but if you're going to change some of the buttons, you may as well just change them all. So what if the graphics are terrible and the controls aren't as fluent? This is still Swap Force, my favourite Skylanders game. Oh look, we're at a checkpoint. Okay. There may also be a bit of a loading screen problem. Instead of that classic seamless transition linking the two halves of a level together, we now have this portal, which takes you to the magical land of waiting. But we're not done. The game loads before the starting cutscene in each level, and then it loads again after the cutscene. And guys, you won't believe what happens at the end of the level. Yep, I can only go so long tolerating the Wii's limited hardware, especially when there isn't a single Gareth in this game. What a fall from grace.
Maybe I'm starting off too harsh. It's not completely terrible. Apart from all of it.
Nothing about this version feels right. While Swap Force's art style is a common complaint, you can't deny that the game is stunning and it runs so smoothly. The problem is, this version is neither of those things, so you're getting ugly graphics, terrible performance, and all of that just for the art style to look terrible on the Wii anyway.
It is a lose-lose. That's 2 losses.
Moving away from the negatives, one interesting thing I noticed is that the Grumblebums now use a range of different weapons instead of their regular wooden club. They use wrenches, pitchforks and spades, which works much better with the level's environment and makes them more memorable. And, this one has hair. Not bad. I have no clue why this detail was removed in the HD version, but I can safely say that Swap Force on the Wii is not a downgrade in every possible way. Congratulations, you've earned it. But believe it or not, the improvements don't end there. One of the most popular complaints about Swap Force is its length. While I never had a problem with it, I can agree that this game would have been better if the levels were trimmed down even a little bit. And that's exactly what the Wii version does. Sure, sometimes it's so subtle that you don't even notice, but other times it's very significant and it definitely helps the levels from dragging on. For example, the final turret sequence from Boney Islands is completely gone, and believe me, this is a cut that I can definitely get behind. Sadly, that's where the improvements fizzle out, because now we're on to Chaos's Fortress. And just look at this. If there is any proof of this game not working on the Wii, it's this. Are you okay, Cassandra? You're looking kind of pale. Jesus Christ! What's that? Oh, you need more proof that this version's bad? Sure. You don't use the Wii remote to unlock gates anymore, the treasure podiums don't show you whether they're unlocked or not, none of the dialogue is skippable, sometimes there's no music during the end of a level, the elemental gates look inexcusably bad, there's no indication of where the Fire Vapor's fireballs are gonna land, every spellpunk is the same colour during their cutscenes, the fire trolls leave behind an electric shock instead of fire, they removed the minigames from the Frostfest mountains, this hot dog is literally floating outside of the level, and did I mention this game doesn't look very good?
Okay, I'm getting nitpicky here, but you know I can go on.
It's all of these small annoyances that really bring the game down, and it sucks, because this didn't have to be a bad game. In conclusion, I hope I never have to even look at this version of Swap Force again for the rest of my life. If this was the version I grew up with, I don't know if I would have even kept playing the games. So if you were ever to ask me if the Wii version is good, all I can say to you is every level looks empty and dull, the game's frame rate kills itself during big battles, Chaos looks like he's stoned, and Spyro won't stop staring at me weird. So no, it's not good. I strongly encourage anyone that played this game on the Wii to give any other version of it a shot. Even the 360 and PS3 versions are a major improvement.
Oh my god. We're not even done yet!
Trap Team on the Wii. If you thought Swap Force was yucky, well, it doesn't get better. Let me put it this way. Toys for Bob felt so bad for selling me this game, they literally gave me the code for a free copy of Trap Team on the Wii U.
If I had a Wii U, that would be very thoughtful. Thank you, Bob.
So we head into the game, and I genuinely thought we hit rock bottom with Swap Force, but this game is somehow even worse. The sound is muffled and static, the colours are bland and boring, and the graphics are a little bit bad. Honestly, it goes well past the point of being charming. It is a complete and utter eyesore. Although credit where credit's due, the game runs pretty well apart from the cutscenes, and the frame rate could have been worse.
Positive section over. Hope you enjoyed it. Well, I'm already sick of this game and I've only gone past the first level. I'm free!
I don't know whether to be angry that the disc is broken, or thankful. Either way, I really was looking forward to seeing what changes there were between the different versions, just like Swap Force. Well, at least I was able to see the most important difference from the second I booted up the game. It's ugly. Pretty damn ugly. I am quite upset that I never reached the Dreamcatcher fight and had my game crash. That's been on my bucket list for years now. While I barely got to play any of it, what I did manage to play wasn't fantastic. Heck, I had more fun with the mobile version of Trap Team. That says it all.
We're finished. What a beautiful experience. Apart from when it all got ugly, that kinda sucked.
The story of Skylanders on the Wii is a tragic one indeed. The Wii went from being the best way to play to the worst in the blink of an eye. I'm just grateful that Skylanders never became a Nintendo exclusive, because I don't think there is any universe where I could have enjoyed this mess. Well, at least I can still rely on my one true friend in this cruel world.
All fired up.
I'm going to go away now, goodbye.